In 1932, the Technicolor Corporation released the fourth iteration of their color motion picture film process. Invented by scientist and company co-founder Dr. Herbert Kalmus, the Technicolor No. 4 system utilized a 3-strip camera and dye transfer printing to bring the world of motion pictures out of the restrictive monochromatic, tinted, and dual-tone formats and into the world of vibrant, 3-toned, full-spectrum color. With its first uses in the 1932 short Flowers and Trees and the 1935 feature film Becky Sharp, Technicolor No. 4 quickly became the primary method for producing color films in Hollywood during its golden age from the 30s to the early 50s, with notable usage in films like The Wizard of Oz, Gone with the Wind, Meet Me in St. Louis, Anchors Aweigh, Singing in the Rain, Gentlemen Prefer Blondes, and War of the Worlds. As the 50s continued, the use of Technicolor No. 4 in the industry began to dwindle, as cheaper and simpler single-strip dye coupling processes like Eastman color became available, with the last film produced using the 3-strip system being 1955's Foxfire. To explain how the Technicolor No. 4 system worked, I've assembled 2 videos from the George Eastman Museum's YouTube channel to demonstrate how the 3-strip camera and dye transfer printing system functioned individually and came together to create color motion picture film.
Technicolor's original goal was full-spectrum color photography for motion picture screens. Technicolor achieved their goal by completely redesigning the camera that they had been using in the 20s. This new camera ran 3 black and white negatives simultaneously, and that is why it is known as 3-strip Technicolor.
Inside the camera, directly behind the lens, was the beam-splitting prism. This had a gold-flecked, semi-transparent mirror in its center, which allowed half the light to go directly through to the green record, and the other half to be reflected 90 degrees onto 2 film strips in bipack. The bipack was 2 negative films sandwiched together, emulsion to emulsion in the gate. The front film was the blue record, and on its emulsion was a red dye which acted like the filter for the red record directly behind.
The dye transfer process meant transferring a dye image onto another carrier. In Technicolor's case, this meant transferring multiple color records, one by one, onto a blank piece of film. Technicolor dye transfer printing process started with a blank piece of film and then pressed the dyes on with a matrix relief, one color at a time. The full spectrum could be reproduced by combining cyan, yellow, and magenta dyes. Technicolor applied a key image underneath the dyes. The key image was actually a light or soft black and white image printed on the film. Each dye was then printed on top of this, one by one, as normal. This enhanced the definition and the contrast.
As a big fan of the way films produced using this system look, I wondered if it would be possible to replicate the process and achieve the same look for digital video in a digital editing program such as Adobe After Effects. The answer is yes, and it requires following many of the same steps. The first step is to adjust the highlights and add a slight radial blur to the video. Next, the video is divided into 3 records, 2 of which are blurred and made semi-transparent, becoming the highlight and shadow records respectively. The records are then recombined, which gives the video a halation effect that mimics the look of films shot using a Bosc and Lomb Baltar lens, the most common lens used during Technicolor No. 4's lifetime, without sacrificing any of the image's sharpness or clarity. Next, the video is divided into 4 records, with the top 3 having their blending mode set to darken. These records are then channel shifted to red, blue, green, and monochrome. The mono record is then made considerably transparent and subdivided into a key and light record. The red, blue, and green records are then inverted and tinted cyan, yellow, and magenta respectively. Their tints are sourced from this image of the actual pigments used in the Technicolor No. 4 system, which are then de-aged and set to full brightness and saturation to mimic the dyes created by diluting these pigments with solution. The light record is then tinted a faint gold color to mimic the slightly golden hue from the gold-flecked mirror in the beam-splitting prism that would be captured in the image. Film grain and a slight jitter are then added to the cyan, yellow, magenta, and key records, and the records are all recombined afterwards. Lastly, footage of blank film header is made semi-transparent and overlaid over the video. A slight jitter is then added to the final footage, which is zoomed in slightly to accommodate for this, thus giving us our final digital Technicolor video. The main scientific effect happens in this process when the red, blue, and green records are extracted from the video. Since the blending mode for each record is set to darken to mimic the transparency of 35mm film, simply recombining these records ends up inverting the image's luminance due to the shadows from each record becoming transparent after they've been channel shifted. Inverting each record fixes the issue with the luminance, but leaves the image with inverted colors. It's only when the inverted red, green, and blue records are tinted cyan, yellow, and magenta, which takes them from an additive color model that makes white when combined to a subtractive model that creates black, that the records are able to be recombined to successfully reproduce the original color image. Thank you for watching.